Josik. And I'm Seth. And you're tuned into the Free Game Podcast.
What's going on, FGP members? Welcome back to episode 13 of the Free Game Podcast. I'm your co-host, Seth.
I'm your co-host, Josik. Man, bro. Did we have one heck of an NBA final series? I guess it depends on how you define that.
What you call a heck of a series?
Well, if you don't know, the Dallas Mavericks beat the Boston. Well, so sir, whoa.
I don't know what world he's living in, guys. Spain has him.
Dallas Mavericks
alternate outcome in Spain.
Chill. Dallas Mavericks lost to the Boston Celtics in Game 5 of the NBA Finals last night, closing out the series. Boston won 4-1. Jayson Tatum, Jaylan Brown got their first ring together as a duo. First ring for Boston since 2008, I believe. 2009, one of those 2008, I believe. Yeah. So, what's your takeaways from series as a whole? Either team. Let me hear your thoughts, man.
First off, congrats to the Celtics. They completed it. Tatum finally kind of has that weight off his shoulders now, so he can come back or go look ahead for the rest of his career, kind of just like, I accomplished what I want to accomplish. Now I can just go be me almost. So this might
say. What do you say? What they gonna say now?
Yeah, what are they gonna say now? But this might take his game to a new level. But I'm honestly most surprised at the fact that Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic struggled so bad throughout the whole series, honestly. Luka had some good spots, Kyrie had some good spots, but for the most part, they struggled really heavily on offense. And I think that's a testament to how good the Celtics defense was. I mean, you had two first-team all-defenders or second-team all-defenders, but if you look at guards, they're technically the top guard defenders in the NBA. So their backcourt, and they just made it tough all series on Luka and Kyrie to kind of get going. They didn't get any easy looks, and credit to the Celtics and Joe Mazzulla for having a great game plan.
Facts. I mean, I agree. I'm not gonna lie, like you said, I mean, we mentioned this before, how Jrue Holiday and Derek White were both second team all defense going into this series. But just based off how the Celtics looked defensively against Indiana, I did not expect them to clamp up the Mavericks the way that they did. Like you said, I mean, Luka, I think he was like 3 for 14 or 15 from three in his last two games. 0 for 8 in not the last game, but the one, I guess, game 4. He was 0 for 8, and then last night he was like 3 for 9 or something like that.
There was a stretch between game 4 and 5 where he was 1 for 21 on his last 21 threes.
That's insane, bro. If you would have told me that before the series started, I would have called you a liar. But like you said, shout out to the Celtics, man. They got it done. I know Boston fans were really looking forward to this one. They finally got banner 18, which I believe is the most. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the most in NBA history? 18 championships. So yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to the city of Boston. I know they're going to turn up at the parade. They're going to turn up all summer, really. I mean, this means a lot to them. I've been talking to my boy Chase. Obviously, he's a Boston fan. He said out of all the championships he's seen Boston win between the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, he said this one means the most to him. Like, this is like he's most excited about this championship than any other championship he's ever seen any Boston team win in his lifetime. So, I mean, hearing that from a Boston fan, that's got to mean something. I mean, last time he saw the Celtics win, he was like 7 years old. So, I mean, like I said, shout out to them. And again, just kudos to them and their defense. I mean, they had a great game plan going in, really just hound Luka and Kyrie and make the other guys try to beat you. And I mean, PJ was disappointing in this series, especially from 3. I mean, he had one good game, I think, from 3 where he went like 3 for 5 or something like that. But other than that, he was 0 for 5, 1 for 5, something like that.
Was disappointing from 3 for the Mavericks, for sure.
Yeah.
Like every single player on the Mavericks underperformed in terms of 3-point shooting.
Talking about underperforming, what are your thoughts about Kyrie Irving and just how he underperformed this entire series? Do you think it's because of the Celtics? Do you think he's fallen off the cliff a little bit as far as like getting to that point where his career is kind of on a decline? Like, what's going on with Kyrie?
I think he just honestly went up against some great on-ball defenders, and the Mavericks play a lot of one-on-one, and all the other guys weren't hitting shots. So if you add up all those factors on top of each other, it was going to be very hard for him to kind of do what Kyrie normally does, which is create stuff one on one because people aren't playing the gaps. The Celtics were able to kind of they called it boxes and elbows. Every time Kyrie or Luka got the ball, all the players were on the two boxes in the paint and the elbows in the paint because they knew nobody's hitting shots. There's no point of even closing out as hard as we normally would. So they just made it very difficult for Kyrie to kind of get downhill, get anything easy, and he just never got a rhythm. I feel like.
Yeah, and even when he did get like some easier looks, not necessarily easier, I don't think he had any easy looks really, unless he like pulled up from three on like a fast break. But
Mhm.
even when he get to the bucket or anything and had like maybe an open layup, he blew a lot of open layups this series. I mean, it was
When
very
you have to
unlike
work
him.
when you have to work really hard every time down the court to get a shot, like by the time you finally get like a wide open shot, you're so exhausted and like you've been mentally trying to get a shot all game, trying to get something off all game. You're finally like, dang, I have an easy look here now. It's like sometimes it's hard to kind of lock in on those and finish them just because how rare and how frustrated you've been that game.
Yeah, I will say low key. Um, this is just my theory. I don't call me wrong. I don't know what the case may be. I feel like a lot of the reason why the Mavs couldn't get in any offensive rhythm is just because of the fact that Luka was just so ball dominant most of the series. I mean, especially in the first quarter, like you saw so many possessions of him coming down, holding the ball, basically the whole possession, whether it's 20 seconds, 24 seconds, 15 seconds, and he like a step back three or trying to get to the bucket and then maybe kicking it out last minute. Like there's basically like no ball movement, at least from Dallas Mavericks this series. And I'm maybe they didn't have too much during the regular season, but at least the last couple of series that I've watched them play against the Thunder and against the Timberwolves, I seems like they were moving the ball just a little more, not a lot, but just a little more than they were against the Celtics and getting everybody involved. Whereas in the finals, it was kind of like the Luca show, and then the could have been Kyrie show, but like not really as much at all. So I don't know. They definitely got a lot to think about this off season. I mean, I think Derrick Jones Jr. was on a 1 year contract. I don't know exactly what free agents they got on their roster. I know PJ just got re-signed, I think, by the Hornets before he got traded, so I think he'll be there for a little bit. But they definitely got some work to do. But again, shout out to the Celtics. Do you think the Celtics are going to keep their core? I mean, obviously they're going to keep Tatum and Brown. That's undoubted. But as far as Drew Holiday, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, do you see them staying in Boston in the future?
Yeah, as long as like money doesn't come up as an issue for some of them, I don't see it being a problem. I think Drew Holiday still has another year on his contract, and then a few of the other guys have a few more years. So I don't see any of them leaving anytime soon. Al Horford may retire, but that's about it. I do want to ask you, do you feel like Jaylan Brown deserved that Finals MVP, or was it Jayson Tatum's? How you feel about that?
Realistically, I think Kyrie Irving should have won Finals MVP. I mean, he brought a ring to Boston like he said he would, just based on his underperformance. But I mean, I don't know. It's tough because I mean, if you watch the first two games, you, me, and everybody else was saying like Tatum is selling the MVP once again, like he was in 2022 when they faced the Warriors. I mean, he wasn't shooting well, but he was doing everything else well, passing, like playmaking, rebounding, still playing pretty good defense or whatever. So I mean, he was doing everything but getting the ball in the basket. And then game 3 through 5 roll around. I mean, game 4 wasn't the best. I mean, I think he shot like 3 for 11 or something like that. Him and Brown both had kind of bad shooting games. Just the Celtics as the team had a bad shooting game in game 4. But I mean, Tatum kind of turned it up in games 3 and game 5 as far as scoring. I mean, I think he dropped 31 points last night to go along with, I believe, 11 assists. I'm going to fact check that real quick. But I say all that to say Jayson Tatum led the Celtics in every statistical category on offense, as far as he averaged the most points, he averaged the most assists, he averaged the most rebounds. So I mean, I know the game isn't all about offense. You know me, I'm a defensive guy, whether it's football or basketball. But I mean, I think it was close. I personally probably would have gave it to Jayson Tatum, just again, just the playmaking and kind of what he's able to do all around. And Jaylen Brown, like I said, he had a great series. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he was responsible for guarding Luka for the past couple games. And he obviously gave him a lot of trouble. Like I said, Luka was 3 for 9 from three last night and 0 for 8 from three the other game. And like you said, bro, he was just giving him a lot of pressure, a lot of hard looks. I mean, it was hard for him to get across half court. That's one of the possessions with Jaylen Brown picking him up 94 feet. So, I mean, I get it. Shout out to Jaylen Brown. I mean, I feel like he deserves it in a way. I mean, he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Now he's won the Finals MVP. And I feel like he's been under Jayson Tatum's shadow for a lot of his career as far as like being like the wingman of Jayson Tatum. Whereas now he's kind of proven himself to be like that guy on the Boston Celtics. Arguably, like you could really argue that him or Jayson Tatum is the best player on the Celtics roster after this season, honestly. But I mean, like I said, me personally, I would have gave it to Jayson Tatum, but it's not a terrible I guess a terrible award to give to Jaylen Brown. But I am thinking about as far as the whole Andre Iguodala Steph Curry situation, how they said Iguodala shut down LeBron or whatever the case may be. But Jaylen Brown actually did play really good defense on Luka Doncic. I will say that. But what do you think? Do you think he should have won it?
Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown did deserve it, just with the defense that he played on Luka throughout the series, especially the last two games, making Luka go 1 for 21 from three. I mean, as you said a few minutes ago, if you would have told me that before the series, you'd been like, no way. But somehow, some way, Jaylen Brown was able to get it done on both ends of the floor. So, congrats to him. And he also got snubbed for making All NBA this year. So,
Yeah,
I
he
feel like
did.
that kind of makes up for him not getting that award.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But just like box score does not tell everything. I will say that it does not tell everything. But just looking at it, I mean, like Lucas still had like 28 points, 12 rebounds, shot 12 of 25, so like just under 50% last night. Tatum had 31, eight rebounds and 11 assists. Shot 11 for 24, and Jaylen Brown had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. So he still played a somewhat all-around game offensively, and then on top of that, like you mentioned, just playing really good defense on one of the best offensive players in the NBA this year and in the previous 3, 4 years, and some years to come. So
The best offensive player in the NBA.
arguably, I
But
mean, no MVPs
points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, MVP is more than just
this
that.
year. This year, yes, this year, Luca should won MVP. I've said that. We both discussed that, but I mean, this year, yes, Luca was the best offensive player in the NBA. But
There we go.
you know,
But looking at just some of the recent champions, I want to ask you, where do you rank the Celtics against the previous four NBA champs? Those being the Nuggets last year, the Warriors the year before that, the Bucks in 2021, and the Lakers in the bubble.
hmm, that's a good question. Um, if you're going based off roster, like just you look at the roster on paper, I think the Celtics are probably the best team, honestly. Like I feel like they would be number one. Just going based off including everything like roster performance, just how dominant they look throughout the playoffs and just in general. Um, I personally have to give it to the Nuggets. They probably, people might have complained that they played an 8 seed in the Miami Heat in the playoffs or whatever, but I mean the Heat had to get through the Bucks and the Celtics that year to get there. So you got to give them a little bit of credit where credit's due. Um, but I'd have to probably give it to I think the Nuggets and Celtics are like 1A, 1B. Like I can't really put either of them, I guess, above the other. I feel like both teams are very, very even. That's the honestly series that I want to see. I want to see Nuggets versus Celtics. I think it would have been a great matchup. Like I said, Celtics are probably more deep than the Nuggets. At least with their five starters, and then people like Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser and people like that come off the bench. Whereas the Nuggets bench wasn't as deep this year as it was the year that they won. But the year they won, they had Bruce Brown and Christian Brown. So it's like I think it would have been a great matchup. Um, like I said, I think it's 1A, 1B as far as them. After that, probably have to give it to the Warriors. I know some people will probably put the Bucks there at that second or third spot. Giannis is a great player. Drew Holiday had a great series that year as well, but I don't know if they'd be able to slow down Curry, Clay, and Poole that year with the death lineup that they had. When those guys were cooking, I mean, there wasn't really much defenses could do to stop them. And then after that, probably the Bucks, and then I probably have to put the Lakers team last. Not any disrespect to them, but just like I don't think they could beat any of the four teams that I mentioned, as far as the Nuggets, the Celtics, the Warriors, or the Bucks. I don't think they beat any of them in the final series. But so I guess I got Nuggets and Celtics 1A, 1B, Warriors, Bucks, Lakers. But who you got? Let me hear your list.
My list is definitely very different from yours. Very different. Am I lagging a lot?
Not really. I
Okay.
mean, moving wise, yeah, but I can still hear you clearly.
So I would probably have to go. This is tough. This is really tough, actually. I'm gonna start from the bottom and go up. It's probably a little bit easier for me that way. The worst team, I would probably honestly say for me, I'd probably put the Bucks at 5. The Bucks, they had a good team, they had a good run, but if you just look at that roster and kind of some of their matchups that year, I'll probably put the Bucks at 5. 4, I would say, ooh, this is tough. This is really tough, actually. Uh, I can't put the Warriors in that spot. I'm gonna have to put the Nuggets at 4, honestly. I think the Nuggets, they had a great run. Obviously, Jokic was the MVP that year. But if you just look at their roster kind of top to bottom and compare it to these other rosters, I don't think it really stacks up, and I don't think it's too much of a question. Number 3, I'll probably go with the Warriors roster. I mean, they have a whole bunch of Hall of Famers. They still had their core group of guys, and you add Andrew Wiggins, who was playing at an elite level, and then you also add in Jordan Poole, who was playing at elite level.
And
So
Kevon Looney was hooping that year, bro. Bro was averaging like 20 rebounds in the playoffs.
Looney was hooping. Looney was hooping. So I'll put them at 3. I think I'm gonna go. I mean, just because the Celtics have the second best record ever in like Celtic history for all their historic teams, I'm gonna put them at 1. And I'll go Lakers 2. But the Lakers team was special. I think a lot of people forgot because a lot of their players got broken up the next year and they fell off so quickly. But they had the number 1 record in the league that year. They were 52 and 19. The season got cut 10 games short because of COVID. So they could have won 60 games that year in the regular season. They still went on to win the championship. And I'm just gonna name the guys on their roster because their roster changed a lot since then. So people might have forgot. Obviously, you have LeBron and AD. They also had Contavious Caldwell Pope, who won on the Nuggets a few years later. Kyle
Mhm.
Kuzma is averaging 20 something points a game. It's a bad
I don't
team.
think he's on that team.
Yeah, he's still averaging 20 points a game on an NBA team. Danny Green, multiple time NBA champion, spaced the floor. Avery Bradley, I'm pretty sure he won another championship somewhere else. He was a great NBA player. Everybody loves Dion Waiters. He didn't really do too much on that run, but he was still on the team. Rajon Rondo is going to be a Hall of Famer. So he was their point guard running the show, helping LeBron. Dwight Howard, MVP, Hall of Famer, was still playing great defense at the time. Alex Caruso, who was one of the best defenders in the league now, you know the effort that he gives. And then even JaVale McGee and Markieff Morris. And just to throw in some more names, they had other guys that didn't even really play. J.R. Smith was on that team, and Taylor Horton Tucker, who still starts on the Utah Jazz, was on that team. So this was like a very, very deep Lakers team.
Wow, that is a very deep team.
It's
Very
crazy.
deep.
Like the GM looked at that roster and was like, "We won the championship, but I'm not bringing back over half you guys." Like, what were you thinking? Like,
Imagine if they had like, let's say, heck, even this year, but like let's say the year that the Warriors won. I think when like the Grizzlies did they no they beat the Grizzlies that year, but the year the Warriors won. Imagine if they had like Caruso,
they,
Kuzma, like
like, bro, they lost some great players. Why would you let Contavious Caldwell Pope go? Like, he went and
yeah, no,
started another team and did the same thing. Like, I
that's
don't.
wild.
There's a lot of head scratchers there. There's a lot of head scratchers.
So KCP has 2 championships in 2 years.
Two and
Well,
few
two and
more
3 years.
apart. That was 2020.
And
Yeah.
the Nuggets won in the Nuggets won 23. Yeah, my bad. I'm tweaking. But still
Yeah.
though, that's wild.
Nah, seriously, he's had a great run for sure. But I think the Celtics honestly are very impressed with what they did this year. As I mentioned, they had the second best record from start of regular season through the end of the playoffs, behind only one other Celtics team, and those I think it was like the 84-85 Celtics team with Larry Bird,
Third,
Kevin,
third.
yeah, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, that stack team they had back then. So this was a great Celtics team, and kudos to them on winning the championship for sure.
Facts, facts. I'm already excited for next season, man. I mean, you got John Morant coming back. Hopefully, he don't get suspended or injured or anything. Hopefully, he can play a full year. I'm sure Anthony Edwards is coming back for revenge. Hopefully Trey Young can stay healthy out in the East.
All the
Uh,
East will stay healthy. That would change a lot of things
yeah,
too.
yeah, I mean Julius Randle, hopefully he can stay healthy next year. I mean, obviously, there's gonna be injuries every year in every sport, but
Yeah.
it's
You don't want
just
to
it
see
would be
him
nice to see
is a big thing
facts.
for sure.
But moving on from the NBA, you were at the US Open this past weekend, this Father's Day weekend. Tell me
24,
about that, man. How was that experience?
man, that was honestly outside of just like the golf. I want to say this first. That was the hottest outdoor event or anything I've ever been at in my life. I
In your
was sweating
life,
in my life, dude. In my life, like I
was it
was
due to like walking so much, or it was generally just like the
actually a mix
heat?
of walking, the actual hot. It was like 92 degrees, but also the fact that over the course of the days, it was 22,000. No. 222,000 there. So like it was a lot of people and they were all up like close on you. And you can imagine being outside in the heat already. And then there's like 10,000 people stacked around one hole to watch Tiger Woods. Like it gets hot out there
222,000 people were out there.
over the 4 days. So it was
Dang.
it was a special event. I mean, obviously everybody saw the outcome of it. Bryson DeChambeau was able to win his second US Open championship. So congrats to him. But I think the bigger story from this was really Rory McIlroy falling apart in the last three holes. I mean, I will say, so I'll set the stage. Bryson DeChambeau had a three-shot lead going into the last day. I think they played the first 15 holes, probably somewhere near even. Bryson DeChambeau did. Rory was about four under through the first 15 holes. He
Mm.
comes to hole number 16, about a 2 to 3 foot putt right here. Put this into put this into context for you. Rory is 400 for 64 for 464 on putts from 3 feet and in this year. It's that putt right there. So it's like, all right, it's a lot of nerves in this moment, big pressure moment. We get it. Move on. You're still tied for the lead. 2 holes later, number 18 has another putt. I think this one was like 3.5 feet. Once again, inside of 3 feet, he was 464 for 464. I think from that distance, he might have missed like one or two putts all year. Missed it again. That would have gave him a chance at a playoff. So it was just like a huge heartbreak for Rory, and I hate to see that for him. But for the most part, I would say this was honestly the best major that we've had in a really long time, and just the hypeness around it, and obviously the finish. I think this was great for the sport of golf.
Mm. That's crazy, bro. I mean, that's a really big sell job. I mean, to not miss a 3 foot putt all year, basically, and then to miss two.
9 inches. Like you can honestly probably go to your kitchen counter right now and just imagine 2 feet and 9 inches. Look at that distance. You could tell yourself that you can make that putt, and honestly
That's
would agree with you.
that's still two. As a professional, I feel like you gotta make that, bro. I feel like
Dude,
you just gotta make that.
I'm being so serious. Like your first time on the course, we're out there. I'm expecting you to make that putt.
All
Maybe
right, but
in the
relax.
moment? No. All right, maybe not in the moment he was in because the pressure and stuff, but like that distance of a putt, if we were just playing Pinehurst number two, no fans, nothing, like just a group of friends out there playing, I'm expecting you to make that putt. Like 100%.
Yeah, he should have made the putt.
Yeah.
I feel like the average golfer, maybe an amateur golfer, should sink that putt down. So
A lot of
uh,
people are making that putt, man. I can guarantee.
definitely disappointing. But hey, I mean, it happens sometimes. Sometimes things don't go your way. Sometimes it's not meant to be. I mean, Rory still has what, four major championships in his career?
He hasn't won since 2014, though. So that's like the bigger story behind it. He hasn't won a major in 10 years, and he's had a lot of chances and he's done a lot of similar things, like selling at the very,
I
very.
didn't know that. That kind of hurts even more. Like
It's been
being
so,
Rory,
yeah.
you could
It's
have won your first championship in a decade, and you sold two 3 foot putts.
exactly. And now he put out a statement that he's taking some time off until the tour goes over to, it goes to Scotland, I think, in like a month or two, and he's taking time off until that, just because it was obviously a very emotional weekend, a very emotional ending for him. So,
Mm, 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 mm.
sir,
Man,
but
speaking
I'm about to say something really, really big happened to our one of our Clemson Tiger alumni. Obviously, I don't know if we necessarily agree with the decision, but we're always happy to see our Tiger alumni doing well. Trevor Lawrence is now tied for the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson Tiger, is now tied for the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Mm, You know what? Before I say anything,
All right,
let me hear your thoughts about it.
yeah, I'm about to say, let me start off by saying congrats to the Tiger. Definitely want to say Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I don't know as much you've done in the NFL for the Jaguars, but just from what you did for Clemson in your time here, I'm happy that you got the money. Honestly, I'll take that. I'll say that at first. But second, did he really deserve the money, and could the Jaguars kind of afford to pay him the money? Is the bigger question. I would say
Mm,
yes to the first question. Like, he deserves the money. He was the number one pick. And obviously, quarterbacks are just really hard to come by in today's NFL. If you get a good one, you should probably keep him more than likely, even if you have to overpay him a little bit. With that being said, I don't know if the Jaguars could necessarily afford to pay him that much just because they have so much talent elsewhere on that field. And they have a lot of other guys that are going to have to get paid. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what his weapons are looking like in a few years, and then also what the defense is looking like because they have a stacked defense, and those guys are going to want to get paid pretty soon.
yeah. Hmm. I mean, I'll start it off this way. Talent wise, I think Trevor Lawrence has a lot of potential. I think he has a lot of potential left still in the NFL. Um,
Is he
you
like
know, I think you said what?
24?
Somewhere in that range. Yeah, like 24-ish, going on 25 maybe. So I think he has like a lot of potential left that he could definitely reach a higher ceiling for sure. Uh Great talent, great accuracy. I mean, he's a really good quarterback in my opinion, but the numbers necessarily don't say that if you look at his stat sheet. I mean, some people compare him to Daniel Jones's numbers, and people think Daniel Jones should lose his starting job for the Giants, and people are praising Trevor Lawrence and giving him one of the biggest contracts in NFL history, paying him the highest, tied with the highest with Joe Burrow in the NFL. So, I mean, does he deserve the money? I think deserve is a fine line. Me personally, I'm gonna say no, just because I'm gonna say he doesn't deserve the money he got. I think he deserved to get paid for sure. I think he deserved to get paid. I don't know if he deserved to get paid tied with the highest in the league, but he definitely deserves some type of money. I mean, he took the Jaguars back to the playoffs. They ended up having a great comeback against the Chargers, having a tough loss to the Chiefs in Kansas City. Kind of went. I would say he went toe to toe with Mahomes, but they put up a good fight, for sure. So I mean, he definitely deserved to get some type of money. One of the highest, but I don't know about tie for the highest. But then again, like I said, he's still young, still a lot of potential left. I'm sure the Jaguars see something in him that, you know, encourage them to pay him that type of money. On top of that, I mean, as far as the players they got to pay, they already paid arguably probably the best player on their roster outside of Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen, their edge rusher out of Kentucky. Shout out to the Wildcats. Got a Clemson and a Wildcat on the same team, Clemson Tiger and a Kentucky Wildcat. They paid Josh Allen, I believe, either this past offseason or I think paid him early this offseason. They gave him 5 years, $141 million contract, including 88 million guaranteed. So, I mean, they kind of secured their offensive and defensive guys, the number one guys in both offense and defense. So, I mean, they got that. As far as like his weapons and everything, Travis Etienne, the running back, also a Clemson Tiger. He's young. He's still on his rookie contract. I think he probably has about a year or two left on his contract as well. So they're gonna pay him eventually, but then again, running backs don't get paid that much anyways anymore in the NFL, so they're not probably not too worried about that. I'm sure he probably still wants to play with Trevor for a decent amount of time, so he might end up taking maybe a little less. I don't know, who knows. But receiver wise, I mean, they got rid of Calvin Ridley and they were able to draft a rookie in Ryan Thomas. So they got a rookie receiver on a rookie contract for the next 4 years at least. Say that again.
Bringing Gabe Davis too.
They brought in Gabe Davis from the Bills. I don't know what his contract is looking like necessarily, but I mean, They're probably hoping that Brian Thomas Jr. can come in and kind of be that number one guy so that they won't have to pay Gabe Davis too much money when the time comes. They might be able to let him walk. Who knows? I think they still got if I'm not wrong, they might still have Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. I could be completely wrong. I'm fact checking myself on that real quick.
I mean,
Uh
even just outside of those guys, like on the defensive side of things, they have the number one pick out of Georgia a few years back. Um,
Devon Walker, he has 3 more years on his contract too. So I mean,
about
he's young.
linebacker Luakon.
Luakon, if I'm not wrong, I think he got paid before he got traded to the Jaguars.
Okay,
I don't know how much longer he's got on his contract either. Probably another 2 or 3 years. They got a corner in oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. Tyson Campbell. Tyson Campbell is a really good corner for him. Also another young guy though. I think he was drafted not too long ago. He probably has
yeah,
another year or two left on his contract. So I mean, they got a young squad. I'm sure a lot of those guys are gonna want to stay in Jacksonville. At least with the things that they've been doing. I mean, they started off what 7-2, 8-2 this past year. What you shaking your head for?
they're not gonna want to stay there, man. Them young guys gonna go where that money is.
Yeah, but you got to think about like okay, well, you and I got into this debate the season last year. I thought the defense was playing pretty decent. You thought the defense was playing pretty bad. So I mean, if the
I
defense
said
is playing,
bad. I said they weren't one of the elite defenses in the league, though. They're all their numbers are right around like 11 to 15. So I was saying they're like right about average, in my opinion.
okay. I mean, then again, like part of the game is players are gonna leave and go. It's a matter of being able to replace them. But like I said, I mean, as far as their core guys, like the best players on offense and defense, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Allen, um, Alua Khan, Tyson Campbell. I think those guys, like their core on offense and defense, should end up staying. Obviously, some people are going to get switched out, some people are going to leave. But then again, they could bring in more people to hopefully stay, whether that's veterans or just continue to draft really, because they have been drafting really well. I will give it to them. I mean, they drafted Trevor, they drafted Travis, they drafted Josh Allen, they drafted Tyson. So I mean, they've been hitting really good on their draft picks. They're probably hoping that um, Brian Thomas Jr. will end up being that LSU type receiver that we've seen like an Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, that type thing. So, I mean, hopefully it pans out for them. Like you said, congrats to Trevor Lawrence again, just on the contract in general. I mean, you always gonna want the money no matter what. So I mean, hopefully it ends up paying off for him and the Jaguars. I really hope they can make some shake. Because like we've been talking about the past few minutes, they got like a really good roster. And they're competing in a division where I feel like it's low key wide open between them, the Colts, the Texans. I mean, the Titans kind of got a little bit of rebuilding to do, but between the Jaguars, Colts, and Texans, I mean, either one of those could really win the division in the AFC South. So we're gonna see how it goes. I mean, I'm excited for the NFL season. Excited to see these rookies play and everything like that. So, but I mean, I don't know. We gonna see how it pans out. Me personally, I wouldn't have paid him that much money, but I would pay him good money for sure. I would have paid him good money.
For sure, for sure. One last thing in NFL before we get out of here. Brandon Ayuk, his name has come up a lot in kind of trade talks and just getting out of San Francisco. Obviously, you saw his TikTok video or TikTok live with Jaden Daniels where he said the 49ers don't want him anymore, which
Mm,
is
mm, mm,
crazy to
mm.
say, but who knows what's going on there? What's a good landing spot do you think for him? Where could you see him going this next season?
Well, I mean, kind of just thinking about who he was on FaceTime with in the video, Jaden Daniels, the quarterback, new rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders. I mean, I feel like he wouldn't be telling that type of information to just anybody.
You gotta
Even-
next, like, tell them how they know each other.
I
People
don't, I don't. You tell me. I don't know. You tell me.
play together at Arizona State. I thought you knew that.
Oh. I
Yeah,
wasn't even thinking about
that
that.
was the
I
story.
thought it was,
I was
I
about
thought
to.
it was something
I thought
something else.
nah, they're probably like good friends from college, man.
They probably are good friends from college, but I mean, even then, they probably want to reconnect. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
we've seen a
they
lot.
definitely probably like that. Definitely helps out a lot. But it's not like this was just like some random connection. He was like, "Oh, let me call Jaden Daniels."
Yeah.
College teammates. That was his quarterback when he had his great year that ended up getting him drafted. So, and that year
Yeah,
ended up getting Jaden Daniels to go play at LSU. So, they obviously both benefited off of each other a lot.
facts. But I mean, as far as landing spots, I was looking at a post from CBS Sports earlier today. They had five potential landing spots for him and via trade. They had the Commanders as one of them, the Chargers as another one. That would be very interesting. I mean, they got Justin Herbert. They up their O line with Joe Alt. They got Rashawn Slater.
He signed Moncrief to like a 4-year deal, I think I saw.
You said what now?
They just signed the rookie lad from out of Georgia to a 4-year deal.
Yeah, apparently he signed the most expensive contract for the 34th pick or something like that, like in NFL history.
They needed
So
man. They're like, come on, man.
it's facts. But I mean, they got Ladd, and I think they got another rookie receiver that they might have drafted. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I think they drafted two rookie receivers, and if they can add Brandon Ayuk to that group, I feel like that'd be kind of dangerous. Uh, their offense is obviously looking to turn some things around this year. Another potential spot was your team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Need a receiver.
That
Him and George Pickens. I would love that.
him, George Pickens, and who did they just draft, bro?
From
Uh, bro, who did they just draft? The receiver. They drafted a receiver, bro.
out of Michigan.
Was it Roman Wilson? Did they draft Roman Wilson? I think they might have. They
I
might
think
have drafted.
I think that's the guy. I can't remember.
Um,
But yeah,
but
George
still,
Pickens.
regardless, they got George Pickens. Yeah, they drafted Roman Wilson. So I mean, and Roman Wilson was balling with Bo Nix at Oregon. Deep threat. I mean, guy who can do a lot with the ball in his hand. So you add Ayuk to George Pickens. Hopefully Roman Wilson can pan out, and then you still got Najee and
Warren.
Warren in the backfield with that defense. I mean, that's
Fire move too, man.
it's at that point you yeah, fire move. I mean, like, come on, dude. Like they have everything set up to succeed. They got Russ, they got Justin Fields, whoever's going to end up being a starter for them come the end of the season. Obviously, Russ is probably going to start for them to start, but like I said, we'll see how it goes as far as competition. So it's really all if they can get this trade off, it's going to be all on the quarterback at that point. I mean, there's not really nothing else you could say about that. Another potential landing spot was I want to. Oh, the Patriots. The Patriots was also up there. I would love to see the Patriots get Drake May, a veteran receiver, and Brandon Ayuk. Right now, he's working with Kendrick Bourne, and they drafted Jalen Polk. So and drafted a guy out of UCF. I can't remember his name off the top of my head either. But they got him a few weapons, but they need that real veteran solid number one receiver. I feel like Brandon Ayuk would really do that. And the last spot was the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I highly doubt that the 49ers would deal a receiver like Brandon Ayuk to a division rival. But if you pair up Brandon Ayuk with Marvin Harrison Jr. and McBride, that's going to be nasty. That would be very interesting. Out of all those, though, I kind of want to see him personally. I'd rather see him go to the Patriots just because, again, I want them to give Drake as much help as possible to help him succeed. But I really want to see him go to the Steelers so they can make some shake. That would be very, very fun to watch. But where would you like to see him go?
I'm gonna be selfish and I'm gonna say the Steelers for sure. Steelers. No other option.
Makes sense. Steelers fan. Hopefully, y'all can make. I'm not gonna say hopefully, but y'all have a lot of potential to make some shake this year. Tough division though.
Yep.
Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Nick Chubb coming back, so it's
Down
gonna be
to
a
like
fun.
some team in the division always underperforms, so we'll see who it is.
You never know. You never know. I mean, the Browns messed up, and I guess they didn't make it the furthest. The Ravens made it the furthest coming to the AFC Championship game, but I mean, the Browns did more than the Steelers and the Bengals last year, even with a fourth, fifth string quarterback. So
They
I
did.
don't know.
We'll see though.
We're gonna see.
NFL is
It's gonna be a
very
fun
year to
season.
year. I'll say that. The NFL is very year to year.
Very good year. Speaking of the NFL, just real quick before we go, if you had to pick, the odds came out for the Super Bowl contenders. Well, they've been out a little bit, but they've been kind of changing a little bit. If you had to pick a Super Bowl winner today, who would you choose?
I would say the Baltimore Ravens are my champion today.
Interesting, interesting. Um, I'm not gonna lie. If I had to pick, I'd probably pick either the Detroit Lions or the Green Bay Packers. I think the Super Bowl winner might end up coming out of the NFC North. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is still the quarterback in the league, so you can never count him out. They're going for the three-peat as well. So, I mean, definitely a lot on the line for the Chiefs, but I like what the Packers are doing. I like what the Lions are doing as well. They've both had great off seasons. I mean, Jordan Love is going into his second year as a starter. So it's gonna be a great year. It's gonna be a great year for sure.
Not for sure. I'm excited. I'm excited. But hey, FGP members, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on all of our stuff. Tap in with our social media pages. And until next time, deuces.